Okay, so before we delve into how to use the law of cosines, the first thing that we need to do is practice using our calculator to solve these equations. And so this is one of the equations that you will have to solve, or types of equations you'll have to solve quite frequently with the law of cosines. And so what I want you to do is to be able to get cosine of A by itself without punching anything into your calculator. So here's what's going to happen, right? So we have 5.6 squared is equal to 7.70 squared plus 11.3 squared minus 2 times 7.70 times 11.3 times cosine of A. So I'm going to do this once step by step, and then what I want you to do is to see the pattern and be able to solve for things kind of in one step. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do first. So 7.70 squared and 11.3 squared are just numbers, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 7.70 squared from both sides. Okay? And so what I'm left with on the left-hand side is 5.6 squared minus 7.70 squared, and that's equal to 11.3 squared minus 2 times 7.70 times 11.3 times the cosine of A. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus the 11.3 squared from both sides. And so I get 5.6 squared minus 7.70 squared minus 11.3 squared. And that's equal to negative 2 times 7.70 times 11.3 times the cosine of A. Okay, well, notice that I'm multiplying these three numbers by cosine of A. So what I can do is divide both sides by it in one shot. Okay. Okay. So cosine of A is equal to 5.6 squared minus 7.70 squared minus 11.3 squared all over negative 2 times 7.70 times 11.3. And then your very last step is to inverse cosine your answer to get A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to just punch this into your calculator in one shot, and then we just inverse cosine the answer. Okay, so since we have this numerator here, we have to put this in parentheses. I'll put that in red. So we have this numerator in parentheses, and then this denominator in parentheses. Okay, so we have 5.6 squared minus 7.70 squared minus 11.3 squared. That whole thing divided by, open your parentheses again, negative down here, 2 times 7.70 times 11.3. Okay? And so that's cosine of A. But what we really want is A. So now I need to second cosine, to inverse cosine, that last answer. So second and the negative sign, and I hit enter. And so A is equal to 26.6. And that's degrees. Okay? But here's what I want you to see. Do you see that basically if you have this equation set up like this, there's basically three numbers. There's this 5.6, this 7.0, and this 11.3, right? There's a 2 there, but that's a part of the formula. So what you do is you have this 5.6, that, and you take away this, and you take away this. And then this part right here is your whole denominator. Okay? This is one of the equations you're going to have to solve in the next video. And let me see. I can set up a different one for you to solve, just so that you can see how to do this. So what happens if you have let me write this in block. 8 squared is equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 5 times 12 times the cosine of A. Okay? What you want to be able to do, right, is to take this cosine of A, and that's equal to, well, this 8 squared, take away this 5 squared, take away this 12 squared, all divided by this thing here, which is negative 2 times 5 times 12. Okay? So I'm going to punch this into my calculator and then inverse cosine it so that I can get A. So, let me clear this. And I first open my parentheses, right? 8 squared minus 5 squared minus 12 squared divided by, open your parentheses again, minus 2 times 5 times 12, and I hit enter, and then I inverse cosine that, and A is basically 29 degrees, right? So A is equal to 29 degrees. So what I want you to do is to practice solving these equations in one shot so that you can get to here, and then practice typing that into your calculator so that ultimately you can get the angle. So this is basically what I would expect to see on your paper. You do have to set up the equation with the law of cosines, that's what this is, and then be able to solve for cosine of A, and then ultimately punch that into your calculator and find A.